I've been locked in for weeks thinking about this and training and just planning my life accordingly to make sure everything's taken care of. And today's the day. I mean, it's the final countdown, and I'm excited. That's really it. I really can't wait. I see this venue. This venue looks so cool. I spent a lot of time here, and a lot of circumstances have brought me in and out of the city, and I think everything that's happened in this journey happened for a reason, you know what I mean? I'm a big believer in right time, right place, and everything just happens when it must.
I'm getting my makeup done early as F for the show tonight. You want everything to go perfect on days like this, and it almost never does. Yeah, I think I'm used to it. That's why I'm not like an anxious mess right now. I don't know if excited is the right word, but I'm ready. And I'm focused, and I'm ready to go in there and beat her up and get beat up and have a really awesome match. Knock on wood, fingers crossed. The first time around February 2022, when me and Masha wrestled, the pressure was on because everybody knew that we were pretty good wrestlers, so they were expecting a good match, and that's nerve-wracking in and of itself because high expectations. But I think that we met those expectations, and I think that we know we can do it now, and so we will.
Ever since that match, received the acclaim that it did, it set a bar. So we definitely feel the need that we need to top it. We've both grown as performers. I really can't wait for this fight.
I think the biggest difference is that I know my character and I know myself much better than I did in 2022. And I feel like every time I have a match like this, I say that, but it's true every single time. I just get more comfortable with myself, get more comfortable with my character, get more comfortable in the ring. I'm just ready to do it. I feel like I've been waiting for this for a very long time.
Perfection might be unattainable, but while you're chasing perfection, you can achieve excellence. That's what I need to happen every single time. That's what I need to happen tonight. That's what happened in 2022 was when we got to the back. I was so happy. I remember that moment. I remember feeling truly happy, proud, and joyful about the match and nothing more. And I really look forward to repeating that and hopefully excelling, actually, because we're nothing like the wrestlers that we were back then. So it's a completely new match. It's a completely new version of us, and it's the culmination of a very long story. This has the potential to be the greatest match of my career, so we'll see. And I say that in a sense so far, because even if it is the greatest, well, I've still got, 15, 20 years to top it?
2 years ago in wrestling time is a very, very long time. And even though, it's only 2 years, you feel like a completely different person within that time period. And remember the first time that we did that sit-down interview? It was just, I don't know that person anymore. I feel like just things are constantly changing within wrestling, within myself. Masha is a completely different person now too. She's also gone through an incredible transformation just over the past 6 months. And everything in the past 2 years, everything has built up to what this match is gonna be too.
When I first started watching wrestling, I just felt pulled in. It's like you see one of those cartoons where the genie's hand comes out of the lamp and it kind of drags you in. That's definitely what wrestling did to me. Wrestling was always there. It was just knowing that I had something to fight for. Because from a young age, everyone would always ask, what do you want to do when you grow up? What's like your plan? And I'm like, what do you mean, what's my plan? I'm 10 years old. Like, I don't know what I want to do, and everything seems so mundane, and everything seems stressful and chaotic and sad and boring. And that wrestling always seems like it would bring me everything I've ever wanted. It would bring me, something different. It would bring me an interesting life. What really drew me in was the violence. I saw people like Fit Finlay beating the shit out of somebody and then taking a shillelagh to them. And I was like, yes, how much more violent can we possibly get? And then I discovered hardcore matches. I was like, man, we can use chairs and tables. And then I was like, wait, you can put people in a cage? And then I discovered deathmatch wrestling, and I was like, what do you mean you can hit somebody with a light bulb? You know what I mean? It was like, how far can we push the envelope to tell this violent story? And something about that really drew me in. I was like, how far can I take it? How far can I push it? How violent of a spectacle can I put on? And it's something that I enjoy being physical. I think I was like this from the very start in wrestling, but also considering the fact that I was trained almost exclusively by men who were twice my size, and I was 16 years old, and they were just like, well, fight for your life. So that's kind of ingrained in me. There's no other level of wrestling that I know aside from coming in and just being full steam ahead. I was always doubted because wrestling is not something that's common to succeed in. You know, I was asked, why do I think that I'm gonna be 1 out of a million? Who does succeed out of all the wrestlers who try, who actually make it somewhere? And like I said, I didn't expect that. I didn't know that, but I had to try. And I think that's carried on into my career as well, because anyone who says that I can't wrestle here, I can't win this title, I can't outperform in this match, well, I will every single time, and I will be thinking of the people who said that I can't, just to prove them wrong. That's enough motivation alongside everything else. That in itself is enough. It teaches you self-discipline, because no one is in there forcing you to come in every day, to be in the gym for 6 hours a day, to take all this abuse, to learn all these different styles. There was no one ever messaging me and hounding me to come in. I did that out of my own volition because I wanted to be the best. Especially standing in a class full of men, especially standing in a class full of people who were already further along and better than me, I said no. My goal here is to be the best, and that is point blank period. I will do whatever it takes to become the best in this class. I will do whatever it takes to become the best in the school, and then that carried on into the rest of my career. Simply put, I want to be the best. That came from a place of disciplining myself, putting myself through training, pushing myself, be it to run the ropes, to do push-ups, or when I have somebody trying to break my leg and I have to find a way out of the hold because I refuse to tap. It builds a certain mental fortitude. Any person who was bold enough to say, you know, this isn't for you, they're not gonna want you, you don't fit the mold, whatever, I was like, yeah, well, you're gonna be proven wrong. It's gonna be as simple as that. I don't need to waste time arguing and convincing you. It's just the fact that hearing stuff like that only makes me work harder, and hard work ultimately leads to results. That's what it is, and that's just how it is. So the people who doubt me and who say I can't do something, thanks for the motivation. That's really it.
For wrestling, it's hard to plan ahead because you never know when opportunities are gonna come. You never know. I mean, when I got called for the Royal Rumble, it was a week. So it was like a week away. And if I hadn't have been ready, I would have felt so much worse going into it. Like, it's crazy. These opportunities come up, you never know when they're going to, and you have to be ready for them. It's been a crazy year. Honestly, the fact that the Rumble was in January, it feels like it was so long ago now because so much has happened since then. I've wrestled so many amazing wrestlers from NXT. I've been there so many times. It's just, I mean, I met Shawn Michaels. I met so many people that I never thought I'd get to meet and conversate with, and who knew me. And it's mind-blowing, to be honest with you. I haven't really had time to reflect, and I haven't wanted to reflect too much because I have plenty of time to reflect when I retire, when I slow down, but I have a very finite amount of time now. I have no idea how long wrestling is gonna last for me. I mean, women's careers are already shorter than men's. So every thought, every moment, all of my energy and focus needs to be going to being ready for whatever comes next. When I see that I have to wrestle one of my best friends, and the wrestler that she is, it makes me want to be a better wrestler. It makes me want to up my game. It makes me want to have because I know we can have one of the best women's matches in wrestling history, and that's what I just want to continue to do with her.
A lot of my best matches in my career have been against people who have the ability to beat me as much as I beat them. And a lot of the times I don't find that in people, and I find that I swallow them up and I just kind of overtake their entire being. With Jordynne, I think it's very back and forth. It's very 50-50. It reminds me, quite frankly, a lot of like the really cool intergender matches I had, because neither one of us is holding back.
Well, I know what we want to do. I know like the things we want to do in the match, and for me, we have to focus on our chemistry, because I feel like that's a lot of what our matches are, is our chemistry. And she's doing a lot of things tonight for the first time. I'm doing a lot of things tonight for the first time, and they just got to go off without a hitch.
She brings what I bring to the table. I feel like when we wrestle, it's almost like, wow, I guess this is what I'm looking for in an opponent. It's what I try to provide to an opponent being provided back to me, and I really enjoy that.
The fact that she's been able to work the indies pretty much every single weekend and also come here and give it all she has, it's remarkable. I don't ever want to be surpassed, and I think that every time I feel like she's getting a little too close to me, I have to up my game. This is not a character thing. This is like a real life like competitive feeling that I have. She's someone that I've grown to look up to. Like, I aspire to just do more and to be more because of her. First of all, I'm definitely amped up, but just trying not to think about it too much. I'm just ready to go out there and do it. And whatever happens, happens. It's gonna happen no matter what. Probably in about an hour. So I'm just at that level. I just know no matter what, I have to go out there and do what I do. I think the same thing that I said I was fighting for a couple years ago, just representation across the board. I think I'm fighting for that same thing now. I think me and Masha are two very unique individuals. Like, maybe we don't look exactly, how some people think we should look, and I think we're fighting to represent that. But I think I'm also fighting for the knockouts division, and I do want us to be held to a certain standard. If you're not giving your all in every single match, if you're not constantly evolving and just be a better version of yourself, then that's an issue for me. I think that as a TNA knockout, you should always be trying to do that. Honestly, I try to feel as calm as possible, because that's how I think that you really lock in and you get focused on what needs to be done. So imposter syndrome is a very real thing for me specifically, and I feel like every time I go out there, every time there's this build to a big match, I feel like one thing I need to focus on is not exposing myself, and I tell people that all the time. I just don't want to, I feel like I'm pretending to be a good wrestler. I feel like I'm acting like a good wrestler, and when I finally get in the ring and I'm doing all the moves, that's when I can finally just relax and know that I'm a good wrestler until I forget it again.
3, 2, 1.
I mean, there's no greater high than coming out here. There's zero feeling that really tops walking out that stage, walking down this ramp, getting into this ring, and then when that bell rings, it's just, you're dialed in. You're just going. Nothing else matters. You're just in that moment. You're in that fight. It's an incredible feeling.
When you're doing it, when you step out of the curtain, that's what all this has led up to. So it's kind of okay, now I'm finally here and I get to do this. This is not something I have to do. This is something I want to do. This is something I get to do. This is something that I've worked a long time for, and I feel like at this point I was born to do it.
In the ring, I was just, you do what you have to do. It needs to happen. There's no thinking. There's just doing when you're out there.
I think I'm definitely still looking for validation and acknowledgement. I've set myself up for everybody to anticipate at least a good match when they see my matches with anybody, no matter who it is. And that's a lot of pressure. And luckily, I feel like I've been rising to the expectation every time, and I just pray that I can continue to do that for the rest of my career.
I just want to share what I'm feeling with the fans in the ring because it feels so good and I feel so alive. It brings me joy to have others feel that, and it feels nice knowing that you can be the puppeteer with your actions and your emotions and controlling the wave of the crowd, and they all kind of become one. So you're controlling the sea with the story that you tell.
There are some people that I have to worry about not hitting me hard enough, but with Masha, I definitely do not have to worry about that. I know she is going to probably hit me as hard as she possibly can. Maybe harder than she's hit anybody else. I think every time we wrestle, that's what people can expect, and that's what we both expect, that we're just gonna beat the shit out of each other. That's what it comes down to, right? That's the kind of wrestlers that we both are. We're not gonna get upset with each other about it. We just know that it's coming. Like, we don't have to apologize for it. There's no such thing as too hard in this match. There's something to be said about letting yourself get hit hard. Like, boxing, MMA, you can get hit and you just don't know those strikes are coming. But in wrestling, you know those strikes are coming and you know how much it's gonna hurt. That's like a special kind of crazy, right? When you're just letting yourself get beat up. When you're opening yourself up to be chopped, you're just trusting that person 100% not to knock you completely unconscious, not to break your nose. Chain wrestling is fine, like you can do that all day, right? But when you actually get hit in the face or punched or slammed really hard, that's when you actually wake up and you're like, okay, we're about to fucking do this right now.
You know, when you do stuff like running up the ropes and Frankensteiners and all types of crazy things that involve, you know, balance and slipping, it definitely raises the probability of failure, which doesn't sit well with me, but I like to push myself out of the box. So I said, well, let's do that. And I proved to myself that I know exactly what I'm doing and I don't need to doubt myself.
So for me personally, I feed off of getting hit during a match. It makes me feel different kinds of emotions. It makes me like real angry, like, and not necessarily at that person, just like in the moment. It brings out the intensity in me. So when someone's not hitting me hard enough, that's why in matches sometimes I always yell harder, because I want to feel that intensity. That's what brings out, like, you know, the Incredible Hulk in me. I think I need that because it helps me to connect to my opponent, it helps me to connect with my fans. That's where I think all the chemistry between me and Masha comes from, is just because we're not afraid to hurt and get hurt.
This is awesome!
I think that's why I'm always telling the person, hit me harder, because if they're not hitting me hard enough, I'm not gonna feel it. And the fans aren't gonna feel it. People watching from, you know, their homes aren't gonna feel it. I just think you need that.
It all felt so smooth. It all felt really good. It felt like we were flowing perfectly in a rhythm. And once we got up in the corner, that was kind of the last risk. In that moment, I just said, well, fuck it, I'm gonna do the pile driver too. And then I just jumped up and did it because it felt right. And you just gotta go with what you feel. I guess I never imagined that my name would be on this title in the history books. I didn't know where my name would ever be. I was happy with the fact that we put on such a great match, because that was the body of work. That was the work of art. It was like, we have finished our painting, and so now it's getting an award. Like, the title is being given to me. That's nice. That's wonderful. I love this.
I think as much as people have liked my title reign, they really wanted to see Masha finish her story. She got Masha's gonna kill you chants at the beginning, and then the TNA chant, this is awesome chant. Like, that's what we live for as wrestlers. Like, if we go out there and we don't get at least one of those chants, in our minds, we think there's a problem.
It's the best feeling in the world. No one can ever truly understand until you feel what it's like to have an entire room of people cheering for you. I mean, it's really what we do all this for, right?
yeah, wrestling does make me very emotional. Like, it can send you to the lowest of lows and it can send you to the highest of highs. There's nothing like it. You're gonna chase that high forever.
We came as close to perfection as possible and achieved our excellence, and that's my payoff. That's what I do it for me.
Outstanding.
Thank you so much.
Great job.
My body feels a lot better than it did while I was waiting to go out there. I feel really good. I feel really invigorated after wrestling, because before I felt like I got hit by a car. I was like, man, I'm not gonna be able to do shit out there. I feel great. I have no eyelashes, but I have a championship, so I think it was a worthy trade. Now, I've got a full plan of work laid out. I have a lot of things that I want to accomplish. I have a lot of things that I want to do. I have a lot of doors to break down and a lot of firsts to accomplish. So tonight we celebrate, and tomorrow we start this new chapter and we get right to work.
I am so tired, my neck hurts, but I'm so happy that really everything went off as perfectly as it could have. She's an incredible wrestler. I'm very proud to have been the one to give her that title. Like, I know that she is going to carry the Knockouts division very far, and I'm just happy that she gets to be the one to do that. You know, it's not really a loss for me. I set out to find someone who is better than me, and I found that person, and it's Masha.
You know, I went from a lot of the time people being like, you're a little ratty little outlaw, and I'm like, yeah, I'm still a little outlaw, except I'm a little more polished now. Thanks, dude.
TNA is my home. It means really everything to me. Looking back on my title reign, it was one of the most historic title reigns in TNA Knockouts history. I went to the Royal Rumble with it. I defended it on NXT. I've taken it all over the world. I don't know what the next thing is. It feels like everybody else seems to know it, but I don't. Anything could happen. For me to keep improving is just to keep moving forward and to just keep studying wrestling. That's my biggest goal, is to just keep raising the standard, keep raising the bar, and be the wrestler that everybody thinks I can be.
This is what I live for. Since I was a very young child, knew that I wanted to wrestle. I had a vision for my life, and that vision was wrestling around the world, and that was all I wanted. That's the only thing I was fixated at. Every time that I was in school and I felt like I had nothing and I had nobody and I was lost, I always thought to myself, wrestling. I always envisioned these moments. This is what I want to do in life. This is the only thing that I want to do in life. There's nothing selfish in living my life the way that I want to live my life. It's my life. I'm in control of it. I see it fit to do this. And thank God I'm actually doing something good in it, and it's succeeding, because otherwise I would just have to keep fighting until I did. I am happy. I'm very happy. I'm very content. I want to do things differently. I want to do things my way. I want to make moments, and I want to make people feel and do things that haven't been done before.